when you are looking at these things to do in your life and you see something that scares you the most, like this is like, oh no, I am terrified to do that. Go do that thing, because
Right.
that thing is going to push you and progress you farther than anything you could have. Oh, you want to move to Los Angeles, but you're scared, Alex? No, you work harder this month, you save up your money, and you freaking go do it. And if you fail, you come back and you move into the house up here in Santa Cruz. Go do it. Because if you don't give it a shot, you're going to be 10 years down the line saying, what if?
Welcome to the Evolved Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Fitzpatrick. Today on the show, we have Alexander Jones. Long live the adventurer. Alexander Jones currently lives in Santa Cruz, California. His mission and purpose in life is to spread positivity and encouragement through extreme pursuits, which sends him vaulting over the obstacles of life with action sports. Alex enjoys spending his time outdoors, whether he is riding a bicycle, paddling out in the ocean on his surfboard, or up in the mountains finding some fresh powder. He documents his adventures in his personal business, Stay Jonesin, which promotes a fun, safe, and adventurous spirit through action sports and humanitarian activations. He brings together people for the greater good. They offer mountain bike shuttle rides from Bicycle Trip Santa Cruz to Demonstration Forest and more. And they also adopted mile markers 7.4 to 9.4 in both north and southbound directions on the Pacific Coastal Highway to pick up trash and give back to the community. Alex also works directly with Myke Metzger, friend of the show, at Stoqd Marketing and Branding Agency on the East Coast, and he is the Director of Client Success. Please join me in welcoming Alexander Jones to the show. Let's go. Hey man, how's it going?
I'm doing really well, brother. How are you today?
Good. You have some car trouble this morning?
Driving across the country, I had a small evap leak, like check engine light code come on. And so it won't allow me to use my all-wheel drive, and it won't allow me to use like the multi-terrain select mode. So I've been setting up an appointment with Toyota. I set up one last week, and the day that I wake up to go in, I turn on the car and the check engine light's not on anymore. So they were like, just reschedule it for give it another week. And it did. It like came back on the very next day. And it was on all week until this morning when I drove it into the shop. The check engine light wasn't on again. And they were like, you know what, just take the truck home for a couple more days and then bring it back. So now I have the truck again, still in the parking lot, and we'll see what happens. So
did you check your oil?
Yeah, I think it's just the gas cap.
Okay, yeah, probably.
So I just ordered a new gas cap, and it'll be here tomorrow. So
Right.
Hopefully that'll fix it completely, and I'll be able to get back out there on the road. So
Yeah, where are you at now?
I'm actually staying with my mom in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania right now. Just hanging out at my childhood family home, helping with all the stuff around the house, help prepping my mom's yard for a couple months, and then I'm going to be back out on the road traveling around the country again.
Yeah, so are you just like wandering, or do you have like specific destinations in mind?
So I just purchased a 20-acre parcel in Lyden, New Mexico, Lyden, New Mexico. And it's on top of this mesa. And we're going to build what's called a hip camp destination. So we're just going to go on there with our rakes, and we're going to designate specific spots for RVs and tent camping, maybe make 20, 25 spots, and then put it online and only charge people anywhere from $5 to $15 a night to come and park their rig on top of this mesa, look at the sunset in New Mexico, and then keep going about their adventures.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Is that something you've been planning for a while now, or is that a new development?
Yeah. So working on a couple things at the same time. So the goal is to use this 20-acre parcel in New Mexico as leverage because once I get it reappraised, I'm gonna be able to get a cash advance for 80% of the price of the land. And then I'm using that cash to finish paying off a 6-acre parcel in Santa Cruz that I want to turn into like my private home, private mountain bike trails, and use that as like our West Coast headquarters to film everything for Stay Jonesin and utilize that as like our just our base ground to go out there and see the rest of California, go up to um, Washington and Oregon and Canada, down to Mexico. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I can't wait to hear more about that. But um, you came on my radar through Myke Metzger, who's
Yeah,
a mutual friend of ours,
absolutely.
and you guys work together with his company Stoqd, right? Which used to be RVA Creates or something like that. Um,
RVA Social, yeah.
yeah, and were you involved with the business when it was still RVA Social?
No, I came on right after the rebrand into Stoked, and then my goal with Mike was specifically to help take our systems, refine our processes, put new and more efficient processes in place, and then help scale the business.
Cool.
Yeah.
So how did you and Myke get connected?
I during coronavirus, actually, I had broken my foot during I was filming a parkour commercial for one of the schools that I taught at, and
Hmm.
I had a foot surgery. I decided to go on a cross country road trip again from California back to my mom's house. Came and hung out here for it was about 6 months again,
Uh-huh.
and during that time, a buddy from California said, "Hey, I have a friend that he's a credit repairman, and I know that you had a couple bobbles when you had your surgeries, so let me connect you with him. He might be able to help you get some of those things off your record."
Uh-huh.
And I did. I connected with him, and this guy was just like, "Hey, I actually don't have a license right now. Can you take me to Virginia to go meet this guy named Myke Metzger? I He spoke at this conference that I was at, and then I met him personally. He told me to come down here,
Uh-huh.
and I wound up going with him down. I drove him down, and the first night I met Mike and I met Matt, and we were at dinner together. We were at this little Italian place, and I could just feel the vibe. Like Mike and I looked at each other, and we were like, we like each other, and we think we have a lot in common. But the person that I brought down, he just his energy, his demeanor did not seem genuine and legitimate, And so we were just like, let's build a relationship between you and I. And then we kind of both stopped talking to the other guy and let him go about his own life. And
Yeah.
about a month later, I started, and I've been working with him for over a year and a half now.
So was that in Richmond where you guys met?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it at Edo's Squid by any chance?
It was, it was the spot on Broadway,
On Broad Street?
Broad Street.
Okay.
Right
There's
next
not too
to
many Italian restaurants in town, but that's like one of the more popular ones.
Terrence
Oh,
County.
Terrence. Okay, cool, cool,
Terrence.
cool. Yeah.
Terrence.
Yeah, they have a few locations out here. I've heard they're pretty good, but I've never been there myself. But sweet. So you've known Myke for a couple years now then?
Yeah, it's going on to be about 2 years, and things have been fantastic. He has really helped me develop my personal and my business skills to a level that I just didn't even realize that I could get to in such a
Mhm.
short period of time. And it really stems with just like he saw my strengths and my attention to detail, my organizational structure, and my kindness of like this human being like in the package. And he's like, that's how I can help you take this to the next level. And I've never been so confident in my abilities and so happy to work with somebody that appreciates me and helps me get to that next step too.
That's super cool. Yeah, that's great that you were able to recognize that in each other and build that relationship. I'm curious, did you have to drive back with the other dude that you were with that you drove out there with?
Yeah, I drove him down there and back, and
But that was an awkward car ride back to back to California.
well, it was back to Pittsburgh. It was back to Pittsburgh.
Okay,
I drove
not
him.
that
So
bad.
so it was only about like 5.5 hours to get back to Pittsburgh, but it was definitely a different experience driving him home than
Yeah.
driving him there. Um, this guy wanted me to try and get Myke to invest in
Uh-huh.
personal companies, which I was like, I'm here as a driver for you, sir. You're paying me to drive you for this meeting. So
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here trying to sell anybody anything. I'm literally just along for the ride right now. And
Yeah.
on the way back, I could just tell he was a little bit disconnected because he realized like me and Myke and Matt had such a good bond and such a good connection. And, I know he was looking for that too, but
Right. So he was
wasn't the
sort of
right
like a
time or place.
middleman trying to like get something out of connecting you guys together or something along those lines.
I I I think he was trying to get me connected with Myke in return, then maybe I would do some more stuff for the other guy.
Okay.
But just values didn't line up, so just
Yeah.
wasn't a good fit.
It happens.
Yeah.
But what's good from that is that you met Myke and now you guys have this, great friendship and working relationship as
Yeah.
well.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So yeah, it was meant to be one way or another.
Yeah, for sure.
So we got a little bit of background on how we know each other, but can you give us a little bit more detail on who you are, what you do for a living, and what you're passionate about?
Cool. So yeah, my full name is Alexander Jones. I started introducing myself that way instead of Alex Jones because of the other conspiracy theorist out there
Infowars, dude.
that
Yeah.
just gets me shadow banned everywhere. Um,
Right.
so I went to Point Park University and the University of Pittsburgh for college.
Uh,
I originally was going for intelligence and national security. I really wanted to work for the CIA and be an undercover agent. But one day I got out of an elevator and there was this gentleman with a Red Bull barrel cooler, and I said, what do I have to do to get one of those Red Bulls, sir?" And he was like, are you free right now? Are you going to class? And I said, no, I'm done for the day. And he asked if I wanted to go skateboard with him. So I went skateboarding with him, and turns out I was pretty good. And the next year I wound up taking over his job at Red Bull. And so I started dabbling into marketing and business classes, realized, whoa, I could tailor marketing and business towards action sports like skateboarding, snowboarding, parkour, ninja warrior, jumping out of airplanes, and really make a career out of it. So I started
what year
focusing.
was this approximately?
This was in 2013. I graduated from Norwin High School back in 2012, and then went straight to Point Park in the University of Pittsburgh in August of 2012. And around 2013, mid 2013, is when I switched my major from intelligence and national security to sports, arts, and entertainment management.
That's cool. Was that something that your university offered? Like, it sounds very specific.
Yeah, it's such a cool degree because people that like business and or maybe just like a lot of aspects of business and how businesses are run but don't know where they want to go, they
Hmm.
can come and take all these classes like, oh, let's take a venue design and facility administration class to see how we build Heinz Field or PNC Park and see how we go about getting, starting everywhere from the soil tests and the permitting guidelines all the way to how are we going to design the structure to have sound not affect all the local residents and just keep the green energy initiatives for the city. So it was
Hmm.
like all of these things were like, whoa, this is like how we build our lives. Let's see how we can like just continue to keep these all integrated.
Right.
And we were taking classes like human resources, as well as accounting and finance and legal studies. So you got a little bit of everything. And then the teachers would say, all right, find what makes you happy, find your passion, and then start to take more specific classes in that. And that's where I personally started going in more on like the marketing, social media, as well as the planning aspects. And that's why now, I'm not only working for Stoqd, but we're working on Stay Jonesin, and then I have my own contracting and landscaping business on the side too. So it's like
Mhm.
they really built us a good foundation to then come back and keep working up all areas of business without like letting one area, slip through the cracks.
Right. And, social media was like really taken off at that particular time, and I'm sure you capitalized on that like new technology becoming much more pervasive, like, and
Absolutely.
really ran with that, and I know social media is really big for Stoqd as well as for Stay Jonesin.
Yeah.
Um, you share a lot of really great content in terms of like the different sports activities you do, which I think is super cool, like those POV videos when you're mountain biking or snowboarding.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
And this is where like, so originally I was going to school for intelligence and national security, but then I started dabbling in a couple marketing classes. And next thing you know is we were hosting a downhill mountain bike in Pittsburgh, and I got asked to film the recap video and to be
Uh-huh.
the editor there. And that's where it started. Me and my one of my best friends, he is now a camera operator for Netflix. He just signed on the new Yellowstone 1923 shoot that they're doing out in Montana. He's literally in Montana right now. We're planning a trip for me to go out there so we can film some more content. He
Cool.
filmed my first YouTube video with me that has a couple thousand views. That made me realize, wow, okay, I can get paid to make the video, and then this can get enough views that we can actually start to get paid for this too.
Uh-huh.
So from that point on is when I started, let's just keep doing everything you're doing for marketing, but then slowly start making your own stuff.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it has now been almost 10 years, and I have a singular video that's about to hit 1 million views right now. And so it's the growth and the struggles that we've went through, from like the ups and downs of like literally a startup with nothing, no capital, no money, and just an idea, to then running contests and giving away bicycles to kids and adopting the highway, uh, partnering with like the local trail organization that builds all the mountain bike trails. We have gone so far, and we've come really, really far, especially in the last like probably 1 year. In the last 1 year, we've had over 3 million impressions across all platforms, which is
Yeah.
really cool
Amazing.
because we only have, like our biggest platform, I think we only have 2,000 followers on it.
Hmm.
And so it's cool to see that the content we're making is starting to work and engage without having that huge following. So people know this is organic and people are doing it the right way.
Yeah. So was that first recap video that you guys made, was that sort of the seed that was planted for creating Stay Jonesin?
For sure. For sure. It was, I was in charge of sitting there and stoking out all these mountain bikers. They see some guy with a camera. So now they're like, oh, I got to go even harder. I got to try
Yeah.
my best because I want to make it in the video.
Right.
And so that all these kids and all these parents were coming up to us afterwards, like, hey, can you send me this? Can you get me this? And
Yeah.
I was just like, seeing the smiles on someone's face. I've gone through a lot. My family's gone through divorce. We've, had our family home broken into and robbed the day after one of my close friends committed suicide in high school. So we had a lot of things go wrong in my childhood that made me want to be this dark, negative individual.
Mm.
And I kept just hearing in the back of my head, like, that's not who you are, Alex. That's not what God wants from you. That's not how you're going to change this world.
Yeah.
And slowly but surely, I was like, you know what? I'm going to continue to put all that past me. I'm going to start focusing on these positives. And I just want to make people realize that they are valued in this life, and that there is something that you are going to be able to do that fits with your heart and soul that's going to be successful. It's going to help people and it's going to progress the needle. And watching these kids go through this little dirt track or hit a couple little jumps, and then they're like, can I see the video? Can I see the video?
Yeah. But
it made them so excited to just be alive.
hmm
And that's when I knew. I said, this is what I want to do. I really wanted to be a James Bond, going over there and protecting people, being a secret agent, which I'm sure if I was ever out in public and I saw a gentleman disrespecting a woman, or even, people ganging up on like an innocent person, I'm going to step in the best I can, even if I might lose, I'm going to go in there to make a point. Like,
hmm
we're all in this together. And
Yeah.
that's like where this has brought me to now. And I know for a fact that anytime I am out there and I do a backflip, there's some people that are going to laugh and be like, oh, who's that guy showing off? But then there's other kids that are like, look at that. I want to do that. And now it sets their bar and it keeps
Mhm.
moving their bar up.
Shows them what's possible and be
Yeah.
like, I want to do that someday,
Yes,
and
sir.
they can aspire to that as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
That's sick. So when did you start Stay Jonesin, like officially?
Officially, it's been August of last year, actually.
Okay.
So it's
So
like, as of this month, 1 year ago is when I officially LLC'd.
okay, but you were like building the brand before that, right?
I've been building this Stay Jonesin brand hardcore for about 2.5 years now.
Okay, right
Yeah,
on.
just over two.
And do you guys have nonprofit status, or is it I know you said
No,
it's LLC.
yeah, we're an LLC. We are for profit, but a lot of what we do is not for profit. So with, for example, we last year we gave away BMX bikes to kids.
hmm
So in Pittsburgh, I helped build this 20,000 square foot indoor mountain bike park, and it's pretty world famous now. It's called the Wheel Mill, and my buddies that are pro riders, they were like, "Hey, if we'll give you industry discount on a bike, you buy that, and then you can do whatever you want with it." And we raffled it off. I think we only made like 1,000, 1,200 bucks off it, but the bike only cost us $300 to purchase.
Yeah.
So then one of those people that got a raffle ticket or purchased a t-shirt, they wound up getting an entry for the giveaway. We gave away the bike to a local from Pittsburgh. We gave away, I think it was like 10 passes, 10-day passes to the park for people to go and hang out at. And then um, what was it? We wound up donating 25% of the profit to Westmoreland County BMX, which is like the local organization that runs all the racetracks for people doing like BMX track, not like not like the BMX big dirt jumps, but it's like
hmm
the little whoop track that goes around.
Yeah.
So we wound up donating money to the local track, and from there it was like, okay, the margin was a lot smaller, than we were hoping for, because we did everything organically, didn't put out a single paid advertisement. But our goal now is to continue to grow that and give out surfboards and skateboards and trips to resorts, mountain bike
Yeah.
resorts. And hopefully down the line, we'll even be giving away, like a Forerunner TRD off-road, just like mine out here, and give them
Mhm.
like their own adventure camper so they can actually get out there and, initiate their first real adventure out there.
Yeah,
Wow.
definitely.
Yeah.
Make it more accessible
Mhm.
to people. I think that's the most important part. Not just providing that representation, like that you could do this if it's something you want to do, but also, you know,
Helping facilitate.
providing that access, that transportation, um, a safe space for people to ride. I know
Exactly.
you're a big rider yourself.
Yeah.
You do mountain biking. Do you do any BMX as well?
Yeah. That's what I started doing.
Oh, cool.
When I got home, I got on my mountain bike and I went down, a half mile down the street to where the local BMX jumps were.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, some like the township came in with a skidster and bulldozed everything, which was okay.
Oh,
We'll build some new ones, but it
yeah.
was cool to come back there and see, like, wow, this is where you learned how to hit a dirt jump for the first time on a BMX bike. This is where you tried your first 180, you know, and
Mhm.
now I've been to Travis Pastrana's house and done a backflip on his mega airbag with a BMX bike. So to
Sick.
see where things have grown. not only in the last 5 years, but in the last 10 years is pretty amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Was riding a bike a big part of your life growing up?
Kind of. When my parents started to separate, that's when because I was a nationally ranked swimmer. When I was 8 years old, I was the number one 100-yard backstroker in the entire eastern half of the United States.
Damn.
And
Okay.
then from the age of 8 to 12, my parents' relationship kind of started dissolving.
Mhm.
And I realized like I want to be out there skateboarding, snowboarding, doing those sports. And basically around that time is right when I got my first BMX bike. And so I would go and spend my afternoons at the jumps. And that's when I finally was alone with kids that I would meet out there in the wild, without like your parents taking you to the swim pool for practice. And now you have to be friends with these kids. It was like, no, I could make my own friends. And yeah, it was like they got me into biking. And then one of them was like, hey, I really like skateboarding. And I
Mhm.
was like, oh, this looks fun. So then we all just like moved over to skateboarding. And then at the same time, we were getting into snowboarding. So, now we're in middle school and we're going on these ski trips for school and hit my first jump. And that's when I'm like, oh, I want to go down staircases and handrails and do
Yeah.
backflips on this thing. So then, we had our little group of just like hardcore snowboarders that like we went to school every day. Our mission was to get your homework done while you were at school so you were ready for the next day and you could just come home and go hang out with the boys.
Oh
you
yeah.
know? Yeah.
Good strategy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you still keep up with any of those guys?
Yeah. Those guys own the business with me still, actually.
Okay, sick,
Yeah.
sick. So, did you guys like when you got the idea for Stay Jonesin? Did you like pull in all your friends and like
I
figure out
tried
who's gonna do what?
I tried to. Um, so that's what you'll realize. Like everyone says, don't do business with your boys, but it's
Uh-huh.
you realize which boys and girls, which
Yeah,
people to do business with and which people not to do business with.
of course. Yeah.
And so now, like my best friend, Jesse Emerson, he owns 30% of Stay Jonesin, and then he owns 30% of the contracting companies. And so I just do all the books and I do all the background stuff for the contracting and landscaping businesses. But he knows I'm so good at what I do for Stay Jonesin that he doesn't even have to question me what I do for him, you know?
Right.
And so then Jesse, since he's a big logistics kind of guy, he's the guy that's out there with me at 3 in the morning, shoveling snow, next to some staircase in the middle of the city, holding the camera, setting up all the lights, the bungee cords, so Jesse's out there like ground team with me. He also organizes all the merchandise, packages it all, and ships it all out for me. So, like, if anybody ever orders something from the website, I am not responsible. Like, I do not make sure you get your t-shirt or your hoodies. The only thing that I do send out myself is stickers because I have a pack of stickers with me and I have a bunch of little envelopes and I hand write a thank you note to anybody that orders stickers. And then I, drop that message in there and drop it in the mail. So
Sweet. Yeah, that's so much easier to do from anywhere too. Like it doesn't have to be from one central location.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's rad that you have like people who have been in your life for years that you can trust and you can do business with them and
Yeah,
you know what value they're bringing to the business that's
exactly.
different than your own.
Yeah. The best part is now is I have these guys. So I'm out in California. I got a homie that's in Arizona. I have three that are here. I have one that's in Salt Lake City, one that's in Oregon. And I'm training these guys and girls to help make content too.
Hmm.
Because I don't want this to just be like people see Stay Jonesin and they think of Alex Jones.
Right.
I want anybody to know that they can Stay Jonesin. Anybody can get out there and find their passion, get a little dirty, and go push the needle. Go
Yeah.
make some grounds, blaze some
Right.
new trails.
Hey guys, brief pause in the episode to tell you about some of the great businesses that support this podcast. First, we got Weight Train. Use code EvolvedPodcast to get 10% off all Weight Train and Athleticity gym gear and apparel. No matter what you need for your workouts, they have the gear to help you get it done. And if you don't see something you want, email them at team@weighttrain.com and they will take your requests for new products. Visit Weight Train for all your gym gear needs. Next is True Nutrition. Use code EvolvedPodcast to get 5% off all nutrition supplements. I'm personally a fan of their soy isolate vegan protein powder, available in a variety of flavors and strengths, from light to heavy. They also have non-vegan protein powders if that's not your thing. I personally recommend the cinnamon bun and toasted coconut flavors in the heavy strength, and I add them to waffles, oatmeal, protein shakes, and ice cream. They're delicious. Check out their wide range of supplements at affordable prices that are third-party tested and verified for content quality. They are able to provide such great prices because the supplements come direct from the manufacturer without any marketing gimmicks or fancy labels. Visit truenutrition.com to supplement your workouts and your nutrition. Last is Hate Brand Goods. Use code EvolvedPodcast to get 15% off all Hate Brand clothing and accessories. Their goat shorts and shirts are the most comfortable clothing I've ever worn, and they have the coolest designs. However, their clothing drops are only available in limited quantities, so get your favorites while you can, and be on the lookout for other drops that you're stoked on. Visit thehate.com, spelled HVIII, for clothing to remind the world that you're not dead yet and you're ready to kick today in the dick. Back to the show. Jonesin, like obviously that's a play off your last name, but what does it mean to you to stay Jonesin?
Yeah, so like, we all know that cartoon from like, I think it was 1913, that's just like keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
And everybody has this thought in their head, and there's some like new rap songs that it's like trying to keep up with the Joneses, like and new country songs that are like that. But it's like a lot of people have this negative connotation with it, like, oh well, the Joneses, if the Joneses are doing it, you can't do it because the Joneses are they're a different type of breed,
Right.
And I'm like, nah, we've just got the mental thing down so lock and key that we're not afraid to fail.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to teach everybody else that, hey, it's okay. You're going to go through ups and downs through this whole entire life. And when you navigate that, that's how we're staying Jonesin, because we're like, whoa, we're making it through this. And I see what's ahead. And I have that on my goal and I have that on my radar. And I'm not stopping until I get there.
Where does this like positive energy come from? Like, in spite of all the hardships that you've faced in the past and, are currently facing.
Yeah. It's a combination of God and family and friends. It's, me out there on a dirt road by myself, having an anxiety attack because I'm just nervous. I see $10,000 coming in, but I have $14,000 that needs to come out. And I'm trying to be like, where can I make this up from? And, so I'm out there just like, what can I do? What can I do? Next thing I know is I either turn the music off or I've got some sort of song that connects with me that just makes me like, whoa, hold on, just take a second and reset. And then I just like give it up to God. I'm just like, I know that there's something out there in this world that has saved my life so many times from all the crazy things, from either almost flying off a cliff to landing on my neck to flipping vehicles to getting pinned up against a tree with quads, like flipping a quad. Like, I shouldn't be here. And there's something out there that's keeping me here. And I have to recognize that. I'm a big guy of science and faith. I want to know how fast I need to hit this corner and what angle I need to enter in so I can slide the whole thing, or so I can pull back and pull the right backflip and live. I want to actually live. I don't want to die. And I think it's seeing this higher power that is somehow connected to everything and everything. And then seeing my friends and family that just give me that spark. Like, they just give you the smile. They have the the sparkle in their eyes. I have this friend, she's one of my best friends in Salt Lake City, and I hadn't seen her in almost I'd seen her a year ago, but it's like it was like almost 10 years before that that we'd actually like really like got to hang out, and just seeing the energy that she had still in her life and how she looks at our relationship as friends, and the stokedness of like, I know you're doing this.
Yeah.
It's it's that, that gives me all this like blind faith. You know what I mean? You kind of have to have this little bit of idiocy to you as well, to be
Yeah.
like, I don't care that everyone else tells me no. Sometimes you got to roll the dice. You got to do all the calculations and still go for it. And I think those are the reasons why I'm still here in this life. I'm still successful, and I still have this smile on my face at the same time, you know?
Oh, yeah, man. That's awesome. It is so great to have people in our lives that, that they're someone who can like just easily pick up with us where we left off, who like, may come in and out of our lives. People are busy. Whether we live in like different states or different cities, what have you. But people who, get super excited to see you when they do see you, and
Yeah,
um, are excited for like the cool shit that you're doing,
absolutely.
and just want to gas you up on that. Like it's so good to have those people.
I get just as gas to
I,
gas others up, yeah,
exactly. It's like refueling the
yeah,
same cycle.
yeah,
And I love that's definitely what I look for in relationships now at this point in my life. Like when I was growing up, I was pretty selfish myself. And I think that attracted other types of selfish people, who were looking to get something from me as I was also looking to get something from them. But now, as I've matured out of that mindset, and I've, tried to look to give more rather than getting from other people, that attracts the same type of person who are
yeah,
also looking to give rather than take. And I
absolutely.
think that, it's great that you found that with that people and with the community that you've built. It's a beautiful thing to have those types of
Yeah.
relationships.
We need more of that in this world for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, overall, like, what would you say is your why for, doing what you do, whether that's like with digital marketing, Stay Jonesin, building these other contracting businesses that you got going. How do you make that all come together, and like,
Yeah.
what's your why behind it?
I when I leave this world, I don't want to be knocking at heaven's door,
Yeah.
reviewing the tapes, being like, damn, I should have done more.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I'd rather be like, I'd rather be like, wow, you did everything you possibly could and did it to 110%, and tried to let someone else know in the process that it's not just about me, it's about us. That's what it's about, like when I'm out there cutting grass on the weekends with the boys, I can shut everything else off. I can literally shut everything else off and just stare at this yard and be like, wow, okay, yeah, I'm making money for the team and for all the employees, but at the same time, I'm providing a service to this customer
Hmm.
and making them a really cool yard with really nice cut lines that just looks beautiful that they can be proud of. You know, I see a lot of people in this life and I hear a lot of songs and a lot of movies and a lot of videos that are just dark and scary and just surrounded with the things that bring people down in this life. And I've just had enough of it. I want people to know that yeah, there's all of that, but it's all about where you want to focus your energy. That's what's coming back. And I just want people to know, like, give it 110%. I guarantee you things are going to start changing.
Absolutely. Yeah, there is a lot of darkness in the world, but there is a lot of light. And I think
Yeah.
it's important to shine that light as much as possible. So,
Yeah.
good on you for doing that.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. What's a current project that you're working on or recently finished?
Ooh, this one. So right now we're working on a current project called Something Growing. It's it, it is the biggest cannabis and psychedelics conference that's going to happen in Virginia, December 17th and 18th this year. It's in Hampton. Right now, I have 10 plus industry professionals from all over the globe that are focused on growing, cultivation, edibles, pre pre-rolled, infused stuff, and it's getting all these people together now and spreading the love and the positive education about cannabis to the rest of the world. So I'm very excited right now to work on that because like right now in the state of Pennsylvania, cannabis is medicinally legalized, but you're not allowed to actually use like a lighter and light up like a joint or smoke a bowl or a bong or something like that. You're not allowed to consume that way. You have to vape it through like a pen or
Mhm.
the old volcano bags. And I see like all of these different rules and regulations. And then there's somebody like me that moved to California because I have Crohn's disease. I knew like at the time I didn't know what was wrong with me, but I knew I had some crazy stomach problems and
Yeah,
cannabis really helped. And
really.
so cannabis is a major part of my life. I wake up and I use cannabis every morning to make sure that my stomach kicks on. It's kind of
Mhm.
like it's kind of like turning the key in the morning to my stomach. If, having a little bit of cannabis, just boom, next thing I'm hungry, I'm going to the bathroom. My stomach feels a little bit more calm after I eat, just because I have a lot of inflammation of the intestines.
Hmm.
Um, and so seeing how like Pennsylvania is growing, but then comparing it to like where I've been living at for the last 6 years, it's it's very sad. It's sad to see that people are not able to get actual medicine that they want. But then a lot of people are out here just thinking, oh, cannabis is just to get high. Cannabis is just to make you feel fun with your friends, to go out, see some rainbow colors. No, there's a lot
Yeah,
more
it's
to
not
it.
like that. No.
There's these cannabinoids that make up the actual plant itself. And depending on which strain, they do different things for you. I don't use indica dominant cannabis because it'll put me to sleep.
Uh-huh.
If I use sativa dominating cannabis strains, I can use cannabis and then go to work and still
Right.
be 110% effective. And I think the education right now through cannabis on the East Coast is like what I'm super excited about, because it is literally something that speaks to me every day of my life. And I want people to understand the use, misuse, and abuse differentiatives. I want people to understand, like, okay, yeah, there's a difference between people out there just walking around rolling up a cigar this big and
Right.
smoking it on the street versus, a buddy at his house that has this little electronic vaporizer that he takes a couple puffs on because he had surgery on his intestines a couple months ago, and it helps him actually stay calm, you know. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I've used cannabis a little bit in the past. I definitely became more of a regular cannabis user in 2019 when I quit drinking alcohol. And I definitely think that cannabis agrees much more with my body than alcohol does, as I'm sure you can relate to that as well as a lot of other people.
mhm,
And
100%.
with marijuana becoming more legalized, throughout the country. It's a great thing, but there are still some really like backwards regulations around that. Like, you can't like smoke a joint in public, which doesn't make sense to me. But it's definitely something that is changing. And
Yeah.
I know like in 2024, um, according to some state laws, it's going to become more legalized.
Yeah.
Though some politicians are trying to reverse that. Hopefully, that doesn't come to pass. We shall see. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of misinformation and misunderstanding around marijuana when it comes to like how it affects your body,
Yeah,
and its intended use. And of course, you could argue that cannabis culture doesn't necessarily always help with that stereotype.
for sure, for sure.
But with the use of medical marijuana, um, for treating certain ailments and diseases, it really has so many benefits, to people's health. And we started to see that more and more with like CBD,
Hmm.
um, Delta 8 becoming more accessible and legalized. Um, and it's really cool like to hear about your personal experience when it comes to like how it's helped you with your Crohn's disease. Like I've never heard someone explaining it to me that way, but it makes sense. Like, how do you like take your um how do you take it in the morning? Do you use like a tincture or like an oil? Do you
So
dab
u-
something like that?
usually, like for the I so I used to be a very heavy smoker because just like you were saying, the cannabis culture really pushes you into just like wanting to smoke and smoke and
Yeah.
smoke. And I finally got on the habit of like I would wake up and I had like the little vaporizer pen. So I would
Uh-huh.
just take a couple puffs of that before I would go to the gym.
Yeah.
I would notice like as I'm if I didn't actually use cannabis, I would walk into the gym, my eyes would be super tired, I'd be closed, I would have to spend 15, 20 minutes on a foam roller,
Hmm.
cracking my back, rolling out my chest and my legs, like slowly getting everything like flowing again, and then I would wake up. When I would use a little bit of cannabis, about 10, 15 minutes later, I'm like pulling into the gym and immediately I'm like, oh, I'm already coming into the gym with like a full lung breath of oxygen. My eyes are awake. I'm feeling like, okay, I'm ready to go. And it just kind of helps me kickstart into that process. Um, and for the last like 6 months in Santa Cruz, I had only been using the vape pen and small edibles.
Hmm.
I'd been trying to move away from like smoking joints. I really liked smoking joints, but I worked in um, like around people a lot, so I didn't want people to judge me because they were like, "Oh, he smells like weed all the time."
Yeah.
It's just like that stigma behind it.
Right.
So um, yeah, a lot of like vape stuff, but like preferably, my favorite way, like I like smoking a joint the best, or I would prefer to hit it through like a bong.
Hmm.
But as I continue to get older and I start really like thinking about like the health of my lungs and my esophagus, start to tend more to go into the edible side of things because
Yeah.
it's not going to destroy my esophagus.
Yeah, it's definitely easier, better for the respiratory system.
Yeah,
If you get it in like a gummy or something like that, it's relatively easy to digest.
yeah.
Um, and so many more options like now, as far as like, I mentioned the CBD and Delta 8s too. The Delta, if you haven't experimented with Delta 8, some people like to describe it as THC light. And it's definitely like a good strong dose that'll get you in a good spot. It's very different than the traditional THC, whether that's an indica or sativa, but not bad in my opinion.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Especially because like my grandma, for example, my both my grandparents on my mom's and dad's side were all about this is the devil's lettuce.
Uh-huh.
But they knew that I smoked when I was 18, 19 years old. They knew I was a
Yeah.
really smart kid and used cannabis. And
Mhm.
it just it got to the point where this past year I sent them full spectrum CBD tincture, oil,
Uh-huh.
and balm for their needs. And both of them were ecstatic. They were like, "Can you send me more of this? Send me more of this because it actually works." You know,
Yeah.
being the analgesic it does, it connects to your CB1 and your CB2 receptors in your brain.
Mhm.
THC actually binds to both of those receptors. And so it doesn't stop you from experiencing pain, it just slows down the uptake of the feeling of pain. And that's why people like to smoke instead because your brain makes CB1 and CB2 on its own. But if I smoke cannabis, the THC goes to both. So it's like my body doesn't have to make it anymore. And that's why you, for example, with somebody like me as well that is a regular smoker, that's another reason why when I wake up in the morning, my body doesn't choose to make CB1 and CB2 naturally on its own anymore. My body says, "Oh, well, he's probably going to smoke this morning." So all I have to do is hold on another 10, 15 minutes. He's going to smoke. It will give me that CB1 and CB2, and that's that feeling that makes me feel awake.
Yeah, that's
Um,
cool. Do you still drink coffee or anything to help you get started during your
I
morning?
I get the shakes really bad from coffee.
Really?
Yeah. So like Mike and I used to make jokes because like every now and then I would have a cup of coffee and he could tell because I
Yeah.
would be just wired, absolutely wired. And, you know, I'd still get good work done, but I would have to tell him, I'm like, boss, I feel like my heart's going to explode right now. and, and so, yeah, I stopped drinking coffee as much, but I was also told that I needed to put like butter in my coffee because the
Uh-huh.
butter in the coffee binds with one of the molecules and it eliminates the shakes because the absorption in your body gets slowed down.
Yeah, I've heard about that, like the bulletproof coffee shit,
Yeah,
and I don't know how much truth there is to that,
I've
but
never tried it.
if it works for you, more power to you.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, I definitely think for me, uh, caffeine from coffee pairs really well with THC or CBD,
it does.
um, and that definitely puts me in a good spot where like the weed is like pulling my like sensitivities down a bit, and like the caffeine is heightening them slightly, so find a good balance of being like alert but chill and vibing out at the
Yeah,
same
yeah, oh,
time.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
like not too on edge, but yeah, not just like shaking from the coffee either. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So after you had your marijuana hit in the morning, what's your morning routine look like?
Yeah, so I will wake up and I will smoke and take a shower immediately. I have this complex, like if I wake up, I feel greasy and dirty and
Uh-huh.
I want to feel clean. So like I will go and take a shower and then go to the gym. But like I won't even take, I'll just like rinse off water, just
Yeah.
for like 2 minutes. Um, then I'll go to the gym for about an hour. I take creatine before I go to the gym. I work out. As soon as my workout is done, I take BCAAs and I take like an eighth of the dosage of creatine and BCAAs because if I take like a normal dosage of creatine, my kidneys feel like they're going to shut down.
Oh,
Um, I did have surgery back in 2017 for 17 kidney stones,
oh, damn.
and that's when I found out about Crohn's disease and about all the things that were going wrong in my body. I
Yeah.
I used to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and throw up from 3 to 6 in the morning and then go to work for 8 hours every day.
Oh
And
my gosh. How long
finally,
did that go on for?
ever since high school, like the end
Holy
of high
shit.
school, and it wasn't like every single morning, it was like
Yeah.
3 out of 6 days a week, I would be very sick. But I was making bad decisions. I was eating a ton of bread. I'm gluten intolerant and I didn't know. And so I was eating all this bread that made me sick. At the time, I was intolerant to dairy and eggs and red meat, and I didn't know why. Um, and that's actually like what led me on this crazy cross country road trip to find a holistic doctor that like looks at your eyes underneath a microscope, and she told me all the things that were wrong with my body. She reversed 80% of my food intolerances, so now I can have milk again. I have dairy, I have eggs, um, I have red meat twice a week. Yeah, the only thing I really have to stay away from is bread. And if I have bread, I can have like white bread or sourdough bread, but no rye breads, no whole wheat breads, no like little seeds, like all those granules. Those mess me up. Um, so now and it was like 10 years of figuring out like what to eat, and so now I've got it down to a system. So after the gym, I come home, I have some BCAAs within 30 minutes. After those BCAAs start to affect me, it allows the fat from like the protein to not link itself to the BCAAs and just pass right through your body. So you have like 30 minutes later, you have a protein shake and you have your meal. And then when I'm here in Pennsylvania, 10:30, I'm online for the agency, and usually earlier than that because in California, I wake up at 5:30 and I'm at the agency by 7:30. So, just like still on time, just the 3 hour difference.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but here I get to sleep in a little bit more and start my day like an hour later, which is nice.
for sure.
Um, I work until around 2:33, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, California time. And then um, it just all depends on what's on the schedule for that day. So some days I have to go film a video for Stay Jonesin or go meet up with the Santa Cruz trail builder teams to, work on new trails and new marketing materials. Or we go to the local pump tracks and we're building the tracks that day. Or I even like would do guerrilla marketing tactics like drive for Lyft or Grubhub
Hmm.
because I just spent 6 to 8 hours staring at my computer working with Myke and Stoqd. That
Hmm.
what do I want to do? I want to be the farthest away from this computer possible.
Right.
So I love driving. I was like, oh, California, what's a way that I can make some extra money? So I would just deliver food or go take people places. And
Hmm.
so now I'm meeting CEOs of global sunscreen companies and global mountain bike companies. And it's like these people are helping me drive more routes into Santa Cruz and build up that foundation for me to build a business. And people say, wow, Stay Jonesin, I see Stay Jonesin in Santa Cruz. This is a Santa Cruz brand. Like
Right.
it's not, it's a global brand, but I know they're here in Santa Cruz. And I
Right.
want, so it's just like every week is a little bit different because we're cleaning up the highway, we're working on mountain bike trails, and it's kind of like we just look at the schedule like, oh, this week I have 5 yards to cut too. So then it's like, okay, I'll cut 1 yard or 2 yards every day after work, and then I'll go do the Stay Jones and stuff. So it's a very it's a very fluid schedule, but
Yeah.
it's actually what keeps me freshest the most. The problem that I noticed is I don't make as much content for YouTube as I used to. I did just hire an intern from Arizona State University. So he's actually making us a video every 2 weeks. But, it's like I have to go in and double check every video and make sure it's exactly along the brand guidelines and what I'm looking for because I'm the one that usually is out there filming it. So it's like
Right.
I have the vision in my head, and sometimes I don't express that clearly with the other team members. So I need to make sure that everybody's on the same page all the time.
Yeah, especially when you're all working remotely and you can't be in the same room with them when they're editing the video.
Right? Everybody's got their regular day jobs
Right.
and we all work on this on the side, like so it can be a struggle sometimes, but at the same time, we're growing and we have millions of impressions now. And it's like
Yeah.
they all see the value proposition and they're ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
They're ready for this.
That's sweet. Yeah, you're a busy freaking guy, man. You got a lot going on. Yeah. How do you find time for self-care in your schedule?
So like yesterday, for example, yesterday and Saturday, I took off. I did not work all weekend. But what did I do? Yesterday we went off-roading.
Nice.
Like yesterday we were looking at all the local spots around my hometown, and I drove an hour away to go up into the mountains. Even with the check engine light on, I was like, I'm going.
Yeah.
Like,
The only time is now.
and so we just went up there and hung out and drove through the mud puddles and just looked at all the stuff and talked about like I like don't get time off, but it's the thing that I did was like I built everything I do into my life. So it's like we're out there riding these trails, relaxing, because we're talking about just like Stay Jonesin and fun adventures that we want to go on. But at the same time, I pull out the camera or the GoPro and we film a couple of videos, and it's like this whole trip is now a write-off because you're making YouTube content out of this trip specifically for your page. So
Right.
it's like, it just gets me excited. And I think that's another reason where cannabis comes in, because cannabis helps me kind of like, hey, it's time for you to sit down and actually take a 5-minute break, and my
Absolutely.
friends are like, just chill for a minute. Like, you've worked 12 hours already today. Just go sit down. So
Yeah.
it's, I think it's kind of like where everything in my life works together. I have like the universe kind of telling me like chill and go. And then I also have my friends that, we're always working together and we're always in such deep communication with everything that's going on that we will tell each other, go take a break, homie. Like,
Yeah.
we'll send each other $5 extra and be like, go buy yourself a Red Bull or something. Go chill, go do something fun to relax, and
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely can relate to that as a creative person. It's constantly having like that ego telling you like you got to put stuff out, you got to like stay busy, you got to stay on the hustle, but it is so important to rest and take breaks in
Because you
between
come back,
projects.
stronger, and that's
Exactly.
like, it took me a long time to realize that, because some days it's like, oh, I want to take an extra nap. And then you realize, oh, I just slept the whole day away. So you have to find that balance point and, really find where it's like, where it works for you too. Cause some people going out and driving their car like I did yesterday for hours, that's not a break for them
Right.
because they're stressed out driving. But for somebody like you and I that are more into these adventure sports, it can be more of a relaxing type environment to be out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do you have any other habits that you like to practice that help you to stay productive, remember new ideas, or add value to your life? And if so, what are they?
So every morning, at some point in the morning, I write down 5 things that I'm thankful for, and they're different every day. So, like today, for example, I'm super thankful to be on this podcast. Like, this is the first time that I've felt like really valued, as in like, okay, somebody really wants to hear what I have to say and like share this with other people. I talk a
Yeah.
lot with individuals, and about what they're going through in their lives, and it's like very personal, like it's a one-on-one conversation, and they
Totally.
tell me like these things have changed their lives and helped them get to where they wanted to be.
Hmm.
But I feel like I have a purpose that's way bigger than this. And I think that through Stay Jonesin and through your channel and through everything that I'm doing and everything that we do, we can affect a billion people's lives,
Hell yeah.
and I think that's like, those 5 things I'm thankful for every day just help keep me on track. And it kind of like it gets challenging, after 2, 3, 4 years of writing 5 new things every day.
Yeah.
Some days it's hard because you're like, oh, I already wrote that down, and that I love that aspect of it. And then after I write those 5 things I'm thankful for, I will write down just like a short to-do list, of like 5 to 10 things maximum, but
Mhm.
things that you can actually do today to move the needle forward. Like for example, like my to-do list today is, the podcast Stoqd. I have to send some invoices, and then it was take the truck this morning.
Right.
And like I can cross off take the truck this morning because I did it. I know it's not completely done because the check engine light turned back off and whatever.
Right.
But the thing is like, when you actually put that check mark on the piece of paper,
Yeah.
it's like a snap of your fingers. It creates a shock wave. Like when I do this, that shock wave comes out and it hits the rest of my body.
That's true.
So when
Yeah.
you see, like when I'm up there and I'm about to jump off an 80-foot cliff from a waterfall, I literally go 3, 2, 1, and like I don't snap. But when I say one, it is that shock wave that literally changes your body. Like,
Right.
and it puts you into fight or flight mode. But since I'm in flight mode, I'm going. Like
Yeah.
I'm going for it 100%. You're in it, and it's like those little trick tips and techniques just keep me progressing forward without me realizing it, and
Mm.
they take some of the pressure off, so like, and I actually picked that up from Myke. um Whenever I first came to Virginia to stay for a couple weeks, and I was working out of Myke's office with him, he would get to a point where he'd be done on something, and I would watch him sit back, and he'd stretch a minute, and then he'd start snapping or tapping. And it was so dominating in my psyche. I was like, Myke, what are you doing? Like, why do you do this all the time? What does this mean? And he's the one that actually like was like, did you know it's actually like a little shock wave, and it breaks habits? And then I started researching it, and I started doing it ever since, and it literally changed my life. And like that's what, yeah, I snap all the time. Like anytime I get excited and I'm just trying to stay on track, I'm snapping, clapping, saying, just creating a shock wave
Yeah.
of this positive energy that we try to be, because I want to ride that wave the whole way through. So if we got to make a new one, let's make a new one real quick.
I'm gonna start using that. I love that.
It's cool.
Yeah,
And
I dig it.
it's funny too, because you'll be in like a zone, and you'll see other people start snapping, and it'll
Yeah.
kind of make you annoyed, because you're like, yo, shut up, quit doing that. But then immediately you're like, oh, you realize, like, and other people don't know they're doing it.
Yeah, it's
They're
kind of like it could be like habitual, and it's like a passive movement. Like, if you're not actively thinking about it, you might not even realize you're
Yep.
doing it.
And that's where it is now with me. Like I'll notice I'm snapping out of nowhere.
Right on, right on. What's an obstacle that you are currently facing or recently faced, and what are you doing to cope with it?
Well, so I was when I was in Santa Cruz, I was working at a bicycle shop a couple of days a week in the afternoon, because we all know bicycles are way too expensive.
It can be for sure.
So, I was working with them and doing some marketing for them and doing some sales stuff to really help push the bar in action sports, but still keep my roots, um, like in the town and in cycling. So then, like today, I have to go pick up my bike from the shop over here, and thank God I know the owners, so they, are giving me a good deal on the bike.
Mhm.
Um, it's the challenges like that, that like whenever I'm in this travel mode, things are very expensive from an action sports standpoint. Yeah, gas is a lot cheaper over here on the East Coast, but these bike parts are the same price as the bike parts in California. And thankfully, like my salary doesn't change, but I realize like I have friends over here that make Pennsylvania salaries that still want to ride bikes, that just can't afford it, because they don't get paid what it is required to afford these bikes.
Mhm.
And so I see all these challenges that are kind of the same challenges that we talked about before, the barrier to entry.
Mhm.
And it's like, now I really want to work even harder this year to be able to buy more bikes for kids. So we adopted the highway in Santa Cruz. They're going
Right.
to pay us almost $6,000 this year to clean up the highway.
Oh,
And
cool.
since
I
I
didn't
can
know
get
you got paid for that. I thought that was just sort of a volunteer type thing.
it is, you volunteer, but then you can apply to get a stipend.
Okay, nice.
So thankfully we were approved for the stipend.
Yeah.
So I'm going to spend half of the profit on buying 3 bikes to give out to the kids that decide to come to the cleanups. So it's like I'm working on those right now, and I'm working on a way right now. I'm trying to figure out, I need to make a little studio for me to record. I just signed a deal with Workouts by Beckford Bar. It's you can type in let me double check. I'm pretty sure it's Workouts by Beckford Bar. It's called it's Workouts with Beckford Bar. They have 217,000 followers on the gram. It's a push-up bar that like you hold on and it slides out and back.
Uh-huh.
And we're gonna make some really, really cool content for them. So right now I'm just practicing, getting used to the tool and learning really cool, unique things that I can do with it. So the videos aren't just me doing push-ups. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like we're working on trying to break some of those barriers right now and those challenges in the market out here, out east again, to get as many more people as I can in the sport, and then continue to scale the sponsorship side of things. So then hopefully we can start to bring in some money that way to really allow me to kind of chill out a little bit on some of the other things, to have just a little bit more bandwidth to put on to put out on some more new videos.
Sweet. Sounds like a cool project to be part of.
Yeah.
We're going to move towards wrapping up.
Yeah.
I have a few recurring segments on the podcast that I like to wrap things up with.
Cool.
So first off is the mindset moment. What is a quote or tip that you use that inspires you to keep a positive attitude despite personal hardships?
Keep fucking going. Literally, I've been talking with all the other owners of the company because I want to make a t-shirt that on the back, I think we have all decided now the back is just going to say keep going, and it's going to have a little pocket here, and when you open the pocket it'll say keep fucking going.
Yeah, that's
because
cool.
I obviously don't want kids to just see me using the F word and be like, oh, I'm going to use this all the time. But
Yeah.
I don't think they realize like the power of positivity that word can have as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I know that I say it every day, all day, to all my friends. People hit me up all the time. I'm going through this. And I'm just like, well, here's where you've already been, man. Keep freaking going. You're doing it. And to me, that quote has literally just stuck with me so hard right now that it's been like, that has been like, those 3 words are like my mission, like just keep going. And then one of my best friends in the entire world, his name's Max. He lives out in California with me. And he kept telling me this quote. He was like, you know, Alex, when you are looking at these things to do in your life and you see something that scares you the most, like this is like, oh no, I am terrified to do that. Go do that thing, because
Right.
that thing is going to push you and progress you farther than anything you could have. Oh, you want to move to Los Angeles, but you're scared, Alex? No, you work harder this month, you save up your money, and you freaking go do it. And if you fail, you come back and you move into the house up here in Santa Cruz. Go do it. Because if you don't give it a shot, you're going to be 10 years down the line saying, what if?
Mm-hmm.
So that's like definitely like the driving factor right now is like, go find the thing that scares you the most and go do it. Because obviously, if you're being attracted to that, you're attracted to that for a reason, and something is trying to push you to that next level.
Exactly. You know, the only way to grow outside of our current condition, whatever that is to do something that's different than we've already done. And
Exactly.
that is growth. That is pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone where you currently are to get to a place that is unfamiliar territory, you know, to help you be or, you know, become or achieve whatever you want be in the next state. And I have the words keep moving forward tattooed on me.
Let's
Very,
go.
very similar mindset there. You know, I got that done around the time that I did my first marathon. And you know, that was one of like the hardest things I've ever done. And
Yes, sir.
I had wanted to do one for a while. I'd done a couple half marathons before that, and I didn't know like if I could actually do it. And you know, after completing the first half of it, the first half marathon, you know, I got a little freaked out, and I like had to like pull myself aside off the trail, like to, you know, take some deep breaths and tell myself like I can do this. I can do this.
Yep.
You know, it might take a little longer than I had originally anticipated, but I was gonna get it fucking
You
done.
just gave me the chills.
Yeah, I mean, it was a powerful moment for me, and you know, it's helped me. I think it's helped me like push forward in many other ways in my life.
Amen.
You know, it's part of the reason I was able to like forgive myself for some of my past mistakes that I made in my life, and make a better relationship with my dad. Like I've had a lot of resentment towards him in my past, and after that experience, I was able to, find the willingness in myself to sit down with him and talk about it, and come to a place of mutual forgiveness, which I'm really grateful for. And then, eventually quit drinking alcohol, which was a way for me to treat and like cope with some of my insecurities from my past.
Yeah.
But I was able to let that go, and like I think that was a powerful move to do that. Yeah.
Man, bro, for real, it takes a lot. Like I that was the thing in Santa Cruz. You see I'm doing so much right now that sometimes the anxiety, like I am such a positive person, and I know you know this because I feel it, like even just speaking with you. It's people that are so positive like us that deal with a lot of negative as well. And
Right.
I think that's what keeps me pushing so hard out here on the surface, because I know that I've struggled and I've almost taken my own life a couple times in this journey that I've had so far. And I have to know that you got to keep doing this. Like you got to keep pushing forward. You have these people around you, you have all this love, and we got to forgive ourselves first, man. And
Yeah.
I was at the gym one morning, like trying not to throw up from being hung over the night before. And I heard this gentleman behind me. I'm 2 months, or no, sorry, I'm 2 years in. And I walked up to him and I said, "Sir, can I give you a hug? Because I'm like 2 hours in. I was 2 months in, but I relapsed last night and I drank last night and got hammered." And this guy like broke down into tears immediately, just like picked me up, hugged me. Is like, "Bro, it's okay that you failed, man. We're all gonna keep failing in this life, but you failed last night and you already are here. You're not gonna do it again. You're gonna get through this one." And this guy didn't even know me. Turned out his name is Jesse. And the night before, I literally found out that Jesse biblically means God exists.
Hmm.
You know,
It's a beautiful moment.
and Jesse is my best friend's name on this earth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mentioning that. Yeah.
So it was just like God's presence was so prevalent right then in that moment that I realized, I was like, wow, he is really screaming at you. Like, I know cannabis you still use and you're still trying to cut back, but there is no reason for you to be drinking, Alex. When you drink right now, you are drinking to try and forget and try to cope, when you need to forgive yourself first to move on. My dad cheated on my mom with 100 different women, and I just didn't forgive him. I thought he was scum for a long time. And finally, same thing with you, finally forgave myself enough to have the conversation with him so we could both heal. And now my dad and I talk once a week.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So powerful. Like, obviously, it took you a long time and a lot of different realizations to come to that place, as it did me. But that's what makes the journey so much sweeter, right? Like,
Absolutely.
I say it all the time, but perspective is everything. And you can a different change in perspective can really, change your life
Everything.
in so many ways.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Next recurring segment is PMA Warrior of the Week. Who is someone in your life who helps you keep a positive mental attitude?
It's a big combination right now of like Myke being my boss as well as being my friend. The co-owners of Stay Jonesin and Cut Right Contracting, everything that we're working together, those guys really helped me. And not gonna lie, there's a lot of these individuals that I meet that, like, these boys or these girls message me on Instagram and they're like, "I saw your video. I just wanted to say thank you, dude. Like, you literally changed my whole day. I woke up in the worst of worst moods and I saw your video and it told me that I can do it today." And it's just as much those people that I have no idea and I'll never meet them in my life. It's just as much them as it is my puppy sitting right over there that just like smiles at me and tells me she loves me with every little kiss. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all of those factors that are working together that keep me so strong because there's a lot of stress, we're all dealing with a lot. And so to have the love feel like it's coming from all angles really keeps me strong to keep going.
Right. It's the community around us that
Yeah.
builds us up and gets us through difficult times, and
Exactly.
those moments to be grateful for.
Exactly. And just like the girl from Salt Lake City, she remembered things about me from 10 years ago. You know what I mean? And like it's showing love to others like that
Mhm.
lets them realize like, wow, I'm really not alone. Like I've gone through the last 10 years of my life without them, and she still remembered that stuff about me that really matters. You know, it's
Mhm.
those little things, just constant repeat that just makes me never want to give up.
Yeah, and it's really cool when people can sort of like be a mirror to us in that way, like, recalling things about us that we might not remember. But
Exactly.
again, it's a perspective shift. Like,
How they watched you grow and change too, when they're
yeah,
like, dude, I remember when you were struggling with XYZ and now I see you. Holy wow.
yeah, exactly. And those moments are like divine for
Yeah.
sure, because that's something we can't predict. And of course we can you know second guess ourselves from time to time, but when we hear another person like affirm it, it
Yeah.
just gives it so much more meaning.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Like, last segment is good food, good mood. What is one of your go-to meals that helps you to feel your best?
All right. So my sister, she's a Broadway dancer. She actually is like been going on these global tours for the past couple years. And when she first graduated college, like in 2012, she went to Israel and toured for like 2 years.
Uh-huh.
And every time that I come home, she would make me this dish called shakshuka. And
Part of it. Yeah.
it's it's kind of like a stew. It's kind of like stewed vegetables. And so
Yeah.
what you do is I cut up some tomatoes and I cut up some onions and some peppers and some celery, and I basically stew everything in the right order. You go like you go the onions, then peppers, then you do the celery and the tomatoes. You add a cup of water, put some garlic, salt, and pepper in there. Let it stew for a bit, and then you like push out two little pockets and you open up some eggs in there, put a lid
Mhm.
on it, and steam it for like a minute or two. And then I literally just put that in a bowl and I'll eat that with like um, either gluten-free bread or like sourdough bread or something like that
Yeah.
um, in the mornings, because it's like I get the vegetables, I get the protein, and it's like more of the liquidy style, so it's a little bit easier on my stomach.
Mhm.
Yeah, pretty much that and tacos. Like those are my go-to. Like anytime I'm eating shakshuka or tacos, I'm stoked.
Oh yeah, yeah. Big taco fan here too.
Yeah.
And you can put anything on a tortilla, but obviously there are certain ingredients that go better with it.
Yeah.
What's your like go-to taco?
Oh, well, in Santa Cruz, I've been eating a lot of buche, so like pork stomach. Um, just because in my head I was like, I don't know, maybe if I start eating more stomach, it'll help my stomach,
Hey, you never know.
So it's like, because like liver and stomach and intestines, they all have different enzymes in them. So
Huh?
I was just hoping, that like over time, putting in more enzymes and hopefully like it's clean and healthy meat, that it'll start to
Yeah,
help me get a little stronger too.
right
Um,
on.
but other
How,
than
how
that,
do they make you feel?
pretty good actually. Like they actually make me feel good in my stomach afterward.
That's
And it
great.
tastes like butter. Um,
Yeah, really creamy.
yeah, pretty creamy. It's good enough.
Cool, cool, cool. Well, Alex, it's been a great conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really enjoyed it. Where can people connect with you if they want to follow along with you on your journey?
Yeah. My Instagram handle is at Alex Jones Adventures, all one word. And then from there, you'll be able to see the link in the bio for at Stay Jonesin LLC. And then you can even check out, the YouTube channel. We have a website where there's merchandise, and we even have email signups. So if you want to learn more about the highway cleanups that we're doing every month in Santa Cruz, or any of the bike shuttle stuff that we're going to be working on. Also, if you guys are just like happen to notice where I'm at and I'm anywhere near you, and cliff jumping spots, off-roading spots, and you want to go film a video, hit me up, because anybody that gives me a location and helps me film a video, I'll pay you guys for the rest of your life on that monetization. So
sick. Well, thanks again, Alex.
Yeah, man.
Hope you have a good rest of your day, man.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll be down in Virginia soon. Let's get on a bike ride. All right.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Take care, man.
All right. See you guys.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out our podcast. I hope you got a lot out of it and it was helpful for you in your personal growth journey. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast yet, please do so on your preferred podcast provider. We're available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Stay blessed and keep the PMA. Later.